I'm back. Hello, folks. How are we doing? It has been a little while. Um, I'm just making sure that I'm actually doing this right and it's all working the way it's supposed to. I'm a little bit out of practice. When was the last time we did the live stream? Was it Wednesday or Thursday, the last one? I forget when the actual last one was. I know I last did Twitch on Wednesday. Did I do? I think Wednesday might have been the last time we did this. How are we all? How has life been over the last almost a week where we've not been able to do these? My plan is we're back daily now, unless health takes a turn for the worst again. Which fingers crossed, touch wood, all that kind of stuff. I think I am over the worst of it. So unless things take another turn, which hopefully they won't, we are going to be back doing this daily again for the duration. It was always the plan to do these daily, unless it got to the point where I physically couldn't do them, and that's where we've been since whenever it was, Wednesday or Thursday last week. It has not been the funnest 5 or 6 days of my life, as you can probably imagine. There'll be a video coming out on the channel over the next couple of days going through everything that's gone on. There's been a lot, not just related to both me and Anna being poorly, but also Andy's had a real hard time of it as well over the last few days. So rather than starting with a huge long update that's just going to repeat what I'm going to put in a video in a few days, I think we'll probably just jump straight into a Q&A and just focus it more around what you lot are looking to chat about, I guess. Get back to normal. Did I even get a chance to show you my poster that I ordered? Was that here the last time I did one of these? I'm not sure that it was. It might have been. I must have hung that before I started to feel really poorly. I look really slim. I haven't weighed myself, but I know Anna, I think as of this morning, had lost 8 pounds in the last 4 or 5 days. I don't want to gross people out too much with all of the details of how poorly we've been, but I wouldn't be surprised if I've lost some significant weight. It's not been fun, but we will jump straight into a Q&A because that's what I feel like doing. I don't necessarily want to spend ages talking about being poorly, because that's all I've really done for the last few days, talk about being poorly and be poorly. So I know people will have questions and I'll obviously answer some of them, but I will try and prioritize questions that are less focused in on all of that, because remember, the original goal of these daily live streams, as well as providing a little bit of support and social interaction for all of us, was to try and help take people's minds off of everything that's going on as well. And that for me is one of the reasons why I was so keen to get back to doing this tonight, just to take my mind off the fact that certainly in the evenings I've been feeling really sorry for myself, because it's when I've felt the most poorly, and it's also when I've missed being able to do this. I've missed being able to do my Twitch streams, so it'll be nice just to sit around and chat with you all for a little while. So I have my cup of coffee as ever. I've not drunk much of this stuff over the last week because I just couldn't keep it down. I couldn't stomach it. But I have got a taste for coffee again today, which is how I knew I was ready to come back to do one of these streams. So as always, you have the time it takes me to drink that cup of coffee to ask as many questions as you want to ask on whatever topics you might want to ask about, and I'll do my very best to answer as many of them as I possibly can. As ever, I'll try and prioritize questions I've never answered before, and ones that I think are going to be most interesting. But if you've got something to ask, get your question in there. There's 400 people watching currently, so if I don't get around to your question today, just come back tomorrow, the next day. Keep trying. Like I say, health allowing, I'm going to be doing these every day again from now on until the end of all this nonsense that's going on in the world. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to get your question asked. But if you do want to jump the queue, you can do what Stampy Longbow has already done, and get involved in the super chat. Super chat is the way to guarantee that I'll answer your question, because I always promise to read out every super chat that comes in, because it's if someone is willing to or able to support the channel, support what I do, by throwing a few quid my way, I want to be able to thank them by making sure they get their voice heard. But it's by no means a case of you have to do that to get a question answered. I'll answer lots of questions from people who aren't donating to. But Stampy Longbow, thank you for the super chat, who says, happy to see you again, Kev. It's happy to be seen again. My word, it is happy to be back. So let's have a look through some of these questions. In fact, before we do, we just had another super chat come in. This is from Chris Dixon, so thank you. Hi Kev, what are you most looking forward to when all this situation is over? I have a short term and a long term thing that I'm okay. A couple of more longer term things and some more short term things. So I'm looking forward to being able to get back to the gym. I was really enjoying going to the gym. I really want to just go and do that. Although I hadn't been regularly going to football matches, I think the first opportunity I get, I will be at a football match because you don't know how much you miss something until you're not able to do it, even if you weren't regularly doing it anymore. And then some slightly longer term things. I am so excited for the first convention I get to go to after all this, whenever it may be, whether it be a Comic-Con or a gaming convention or whatever. Just being able to go and hang out with loads of nerds. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And of course, Disneyland, whenever we get to rebook it for. Still haven't had the refund through for that. It's still being processed. They've got 7 days left along the original deadline to actually get us our money. We've submitted a refund request, so hopefully that counts as us being in before the deadline. But it's we haven't seen any of that money come back yet. But as soon as that money comes back, the idea is we're going to put that to one side and try not to touch it, no matter how bad things get, which might be easier said or done. But once we get to the end of all this, if that money's still sat there, one of the first things we'll be doing is rebooking Disneyland, because we will all be a lot more grateful and appreciative of it than you could ever imagine for being able to go. CHCEL, I'm not sure how to say your name. Thank you for the super chat. Just happy to see you recovering already. I am happy to be recovering already. I'm still experiencing some symptoms. I'm certainly not out of the woods yet. I am still self-isolating. I still haven't had a full night's sleep. I kind of got these weird sleep patterns where I sleep for 2.5, 3 hours, have to get up, have a poo, just to be on the safe side, and then I lie there unable to go back to sleep, sort of gasping for breath for an hour or so, stick an audiobook on has been the thing, and eventually drift back to sleep. So I've probably been getting my usual 7 hours sleep a night, but rather than it being go to bed at midnight, get up at 7 like it normally would be, it's been go to bed at 9 o'clock, get up at like 10 o'clock the next day, and have spend a lot of the night awake, and it's not been great. Kerry Atkinson, thank you for the super chat. How's Andy and the family now? Andy's had a really bad couple of days. Anyone who follows me on Twitter will know he actually threw his iPad out of his bedroom window yesterday because he has had enough. He just does not understand what's going on, does not want to be here anymore. He has had enough, and it all got a little bit too much for him yesterday afternoon, and he just threw his iPad out the bedroom window. Luckily, we have a very good OtterBox case on it, and it survived and was absolutely fine. Going out of the first floor bedroom window, landing on the sort of gravel driveway with, I guess it's like concrete underneath. What do you put under a gravel driveway? But it landed on there with a loud enough thud for us to hear it from in the living room. And yeah, it was fine. It survived. But he had a big meltdown yesterday. Naked, kicking, screaming, biting, throwing things at our heads, all sorts. It was not a fun time yesterday. And that's happened a couple of times while we've been poorly, and it's not been nice. And we can't even do anything with him at the moment, and it has been a really hard time for him. So I think he's noticed today that we've been a little bit more alert and a little bit more active, and just able to be a little bit more useful around the house with him. And I think it's helped, but he's still desperate to just go out and do anything. Mercy Drive, thank you for the super chat. Glad to see you back, Kev. Hope this helps. Couple of questions. How weird do you think it'll be going back to the XL after all this is over? Second question is, what did I make of WrestleMania? I'll try. There's so many super chats coming in. Thank you very much, everybody. I will try. I am definitely going to get to some of the non-super chat questions as well, because I think it's only fair that I get to them as well. But I'll try not to spend too long on every question, but I do really appreciate the support that's coming in. It does mean a lot, especially after, what's it been, four days of not being able to work at all. Oh, it's stressful. Oh my word, it's stress. I'm definitely rushing back too soon because it's in my nature. It is going to be weird going back to the XL though, and of course not knowing when that might happen either, because all the places where I go to associate with fun times, like all the convention centres, are all being turned into these Nightingale hospitals. So the XL, the NEC, I don't know the details of the one in Manchester. I assume it's Event City or somewhere around there, because it's another big convention centre place up near the Trafford Centre. So it is going to be weird knowing knowing that presumably a lot of people would have died there, and the events will be, the first one back will be, there'll be the euphoria of being there, but also the sobering thought of, yeah, but what was going on here until very recently? And yeah, it will be different. It will be an experience, that's for sure. WrestleMania, I really enjoyed by and large. The two like gimmick matches, if you like, were awesome, and the rest of it was mercifully quick, apart from the one that was not. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I would like them to stop now, though. I didn't watch Raw last night. I don't plan to watch any more wrestling of any kind until all this is gone. All this is over, really. I'll keep up to date with it, but I feel like I shouldn't be supporting it because there's no reason to be doing it at the moment. There really isn't. Daniel Blackburn, thank you for the super chat and the picture of what looks like a laughing chicken, which is nice. Shaz, thank you for the super chat. Glad to see you feeling better. Love you all. Thank you very much, Shaz. Much appreciated. FM Mouse says, would I be a showcase? Would you be a showcase on my FM channel, please? I don't know what that means, but yeah, I don't know what that means. You'll have to give me more detail. I'm not sure what being a showcase involves. Right, let's have a little dig through some of these questions. Nightingale in Manchester is a GMEX. Is that the place where Comic Con is in Manchester? Because again, if that's the case, it's a similar sort of situation, isn't it? Have I ever played Smash Brothers on Switch? I have, and I didn't enjoy it. I've never really been a fighting game fan, never really been a Smash Brothers fan. I do still have it on the Switch, but I've probably played it for less than an hour. Michael asks, do I think Nottingham Goose Fair will be on this year? I think it's too early to know at the moment. Yeah, I would suggest probably, I don't know. I mean, it's October that happens. Maybe. Don't know. Who knows? Right. What would be the first thing Andy would want to go to or do after the situation? He would just want a return to normality. So I think if we were to ask him tomorrow what he wants to do most of all, it would be a coin flip between going to Nottingham to ride the trams or going to London to ride the tube. So one of those things probably initially, but then for him to actually start to be a little bit more at ease with day-to-day life again, the thing that will benefit him most is just getting back into the routine of school and weekends and holidays and respite and all that kind of stuff that he's used to. So yeah, he'd want to rush and do all of the things he's been told he can't. What he really wants to do is go back to that house that we stayed in when we went to VidCon back in February, because he's been describing it to us. He wants to go to the O2, he wants to ride on the Jubilee line, he wants to go for a sleep, then he wants to go to the O2 again, ride on the Jubilee line again, have a sleep again, and then come home. So he's described, he loved that trip for VidCon back in February, and he would do that again right now. If we said, right, we're going to London now, he would be in the car and we would be away. It's such a contrast from, bearing in mind how many years it took us to convince him to come to London with us, and now we finally show him what we knew he'd loved. We knew he'd love the tube, and he finally gets a taste for it like 2 weeks before it becomes impossible for him to do it anyway. Even when we were down there, you were just starting to hear murmurings of, is it a good idea to be on the tube? I mean, we were even, it seems mad looking back on it now, with it being February, but we kind of were having a little bit of a laugh and joke at the time about, should we be touching the railings? You know, should we be going on the tube? Are we safe? Are the zombies going to get us? Just silly little things where nobody was taking it seriously enough back then. And I think if we were to have a rerun of the last 6 months or so, we probably wouldn't have gone on that London trip, because it was a little bit close to all of this. But he's very glad we did. Barry says, who'll be buying your shopping for you during self-isolation? Will Andy run out of food? Well, I'd like to think we're only a day or two away from our self-isolation ending, because, and I'll get into this more when I do the full video on it, but I think Anna's symptoms started on Tuesday, mine started on Wednesday. Neither of us recognised them as symptoms until we got some of the more public symptoms, because we both of us started with stomach issues, and we just thought we had a tummy bug or maybe some food poisoning. It wasn't until the other stuff came on as well that we recognised it for what it was. So as far as we're concerned, we're counting the 7 days from when we first started to feel ill. Now, I could even trace that back to maybe Monday last week, where I first started to get what I thought. I mean, I mentioned it on these streams that I thought it was hay fever. I was developing a little bit of a seasonal cough, But it wasn't like a... It wasn't... I kept trying to get a proper definition of what's a persistent cough. 3 coughing episodes per 24 hours. Well, what does that mean? I'm coughing maybe, I don't know, 5 times a day, and it's only if I talk too much and I have to clear my throat, sort of thing. So I think you could probably trace my symptoms back for over a week. Anna's probably a similar amount of time. So as far as we're concerned, as soon as our symptoms are gone, we'll have done our 7 days. And once the symptoms are gone, self-isolation is over. It's only Andy who'll have to stay in the house for the full 14 days because he hasn't shown any symptoms. So my dad's dropped a few bits off that we've needed. So he dropped some crisps off over the weekend. He dropped some water and some more crisps off yesterday. But we got the big box through from Birdseye on Friday. So Andy is sorted for fish fingers and waffles for a couple of weeks. We've now got enough crisps from what my dad got. And also we bought a box off of Amazon, which is a really expensive way to buy crisps. I tell you now, it was like a box of 32 packs of crisps, I think, for 20 quid, which when you consider we can usually get 2 of the 6 packs for £2 in Tesco. It was a hideously expensive way to buy crisps, but needs must. So we're sorted now. My dad won't need to bring any more stuff over. And I expect, or hope, I guess, that we'll be out of all this and not showing any symptoms at all within a day or 2. That's what I'm expecting or hoping for anyway. Couldn't help but notice your NHS poster. Yep, got my NHS poster behind me, which is awesome. How's Animal Crossing? Animal Crossing has been my life for the last few days. I have spent a lot of time on Animal Crossing at some very strange hours of the day, and as soon as I feel the energy to do it, I will be streaming some Animal Crossing again over on Twitch just to show everybody what's happened to my island, but it's very different. What church do you reckon Andy would want to visit first right after the lockdown has ended? Realistically, probably the closest one. If we were to say to him that we can go to a church now, he would just be very much nearest one, bang, there. And then he'd probably want to go to the next nearest one, and then as soon as he's allowed to go out and do stuff again, he'll have a million things that he wants to do. So nearest one and quickest one. Connor, there won't be a home stream tonight. No, I still don't think I'm up to it. I've not been awake beyond 9 o'clock yet since all this started, and I don't think I could do it. Plus Tuesday isn't a normal scheduled home night anyway, so I hope, and again, it's a lot of touching wood tonight, but I hope I'll be able to stream on Twitch tomorrow. And if I can get 2 Football Manager videos out tomorrow, do this stream, get a Twitch stream out, and maybe even record a video for this channel, that I would consider being fully back, and then you could expect a normal schedule from then on. So, hopefully very soon. Thoughts on Boris? I mean, I've not really kept up to date with the story. I understand he's in hospital. I hope he gets better, because I'm a human, he's a human. So obviously everyone who gets ill and goes to hospital, I hope they get better. I've seen some people say some really dumb things on Twitter and need to have a word with themselves about it, because believe it or not, and some people, judging by the internet over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of years, some people might have lost sight of the fact that politics really isn't the most important thing in life. Life itself is an awful lot more important than politics. But yeah, he's a human being who is sick. So I hope he stops being sick soon and goes back to just being a human being, because then the people who don't like him can pick on him again. But for now, I think you lay off him until he's better, and I think that's only fair. Harry Roberts says, think you'll ever do anything exclusively with Sheepdog again? Really miss the more adult vibe that you guys used to have on the Best Thing From podcast. Realistically, probably not. No, certainly not in that vein. The challenge we have had ideas that have thrown around over the years, but Sheepdog works full time and I'm self-employed. So he's only available to do evenings and weekends, and I try and keep evenings and weekends free as much as possible, or I'm streaming or I'm doing other stuff. So I don't really want to, I don't want to sound like a big time Charlie, but I don't really want to go back to having to work until the early hours of the morning or give up my weekends to get passion projects done, because I've got myself in the position where I can just work on them when I want to work on them. And hopefully one day Sheepdog will get to that position as well, and then we might work together again. The adult vibe, though, I suggest is probably long gone. I've spent too long and worked too hard building a family-friendly image now that I don't think I have anything to gain by starting effing and jeffing and doing willy jokes on the internet, because what's the benefit? You know, the internet's full of people like that. I think the different that I offer is that I can be funny without doing that, and I can communicate quite well, and I think people sometimes respect me a little bit, maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't want to throw all that away just for the sake of a few cheap laughs. I think the nearest vibe to that you'll ever get is the Mature Gamer podcast every week, because that is the closest you get to old school Kev, is the character I still do on there, because I am very over the top on there. So yeah, if you want that kind of vibe, listen to that podcast. But you still won't hear me swear. Would I ever consider going on a cruise? Up until recently, I'd have said yes, having seen how quickly this thing spread around cruises. It does make you think twice about being in such an enclosed space with no way out, though, doesn't it? I don't know, but probably one day, maybe. I don't know. It's certainly not on my bucket list or anything like that. Do I think Boris has any chance of actually dying? Of course he has a chance of dying. Everyone has a chance of dying. I could still die from this yet. We don't know enough about this thing to know how quickly it develops, and you know, I still wake up every morning feeling like there's a baby elephant on my chest. I can feel it now. My chest is tight constantly. There is still stuff going on. You can probably hear that I'm snatching for breath a little bit more than I normally do. So I could take a turn tomorrow, and I could be in hospital this time tomorrow. If whatever's going on in my chest develops into pneumonia, which hopefully it won't. But yeah, I think that's the scary thing. Things can happen really quickly, can change really quickly, and everyone is at risk from it. And I think one of the reasons why there's still idiots out there not taking it seriously enough is because we were told too often and for too long at the start that it was something that only affected old people and poorly people, when in actual fact it seems more like a lottery. Yes, you're probably a little bit more likely to die if you're old or if you've got an existing medical condition, but that applies to everything. You could be in full health, fighting fit and young, and this can still get you if it hits you at the wrong angle. So, yeah, I think, yes, in answer to the question, I hope he doesn't. I hope nobody else dies from it, but everybody could. And that's why it's so important that we stay at home and that we do the social distancing and all that kind of stuff without trying to sound like a government spokesperson broken record. That really is the answer to it. Just try not to get it and try not to give it to other people, because then less people will die. Corey says, when is the weekly vlog due and is Lucy working? There won't be a weekly vlog from last week. I was already kind of abandoning filming it on Wednesday or Thursday when I got poorly, and yeah, I didn't film any of the rest of it. There won't be a weekly vlog for that week. There won't be a weekly vlog for this week either, probably. We'll get back into the weekly vlog. I'll start filming again from Monday. There'll be videos, but they won't be weekly vlogs. Lucy, not just yet, but should be any time now, hopefully. She's another one who's very much on the mend. Lightning Bolt says, do I know why I was so unwell? I mean, I can't know for sure. I assume it was coronavirus because I had all the symptoms and I filled the NHS thing in and it said to self-isolate, and Anna had all the symptoms, and Anna's been completely exposed to it by working in a supermarket. Obviously, Lucy works in the NHS, so she's been exposed to it. Lucy's been sick with it as well. Their mum's been sick with it as well. So, yeah, I assume we got really ill with the same symptoms as the pandemic that's going on. So I assume it was that. But I guess maybe I'll never know, because who knows how the testing is going to turn out. I might find out months down the line if they ever do the antibodies test thing, because I guess at some point I'll get that and find out if I had it or not. But at the moment, we're working on the assumption that that's what we've got, and taking all the necessary precautions. And yeah, because of that, there's been some scary moments when breathing's been hard and you hear about all this stuff going on. And with the fact I do have an underlying medical condition, I'm big enough and ugly enough to admit that there were a few moments where I was literally and figuratively pooing myself. Yeah, it's been rubbish. Michael W, thank you for the super chat. Hope you and the family stay, brackets, get well. What happened with the Diversity Award nomination? Was there a next step with that? There is a next step with that, and I'm dragging my feet with it a little bit because I've not been very well, but the next step is they've asked me to submit evidence of what I do and stuff. So I don't even know. I've got plenty of newspaper articles and media stuff, and the medal National Autistic Society sent me and all sorts of stuff. So I'll eventually get all that together and send it through to them. But realistically, as nice as it would be to get shortlisted for that, and I hope I do, because it's all part of raising awareness, all that kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. But at the moment, my priority is getting back to the point where I'm working at full pace and earning money again, because I would rather not be shortlisted and also not have any financial problems than shortlisted for that but can't afford to pay my rent because I spent time getting evidence together for them. So I'm sure they'll understand. I don't think the deadline is for another couple of weeks yet anyway. If they want evidence that badly, they could always go and find it themselves, or I'll get it to them if I get the chance. But it's certainly not a huge priority for me. It's nice to have even been nominated, and I have access to all of the nominations, and there are hundreds. I think at the last check it was like 600 people had nominated me, and I can read it's all anonymous, so don't worry, I don't get to see who's been nice to me, but like 600 people all saying lovely things, even if I'm not shortlisted. You know what? I can see that it is making a difference, and that's enough. So that's fine. Did I have the flu jab? I had the flu jab and I didn't. But obviously, it's not flu, so it doesn't really matter. Lucy had the flu jab as well. How would I end the football season, and if it goes on, do I think Posh will get promoted? I've talked about this quite a lot, and I think it's too early to make that kind of decision. You decide how you're going to sort things out based on when you're able to start playing again. So if we get the go-ahead, because I think the Bundesliga have gone back to training this week, I think we're a little way away from that. But if there's a realistic hope of us playing football again behind closed doors, even, it's not necessarily the scenario that's most likely to happen. If they're already postponing the Euros, postponing the Olympics, all that kind of stuff, it seems unlikely that you'd postpone an Olympic Games that's taking place in August, but be able to finish a football season in June. That doesn't add up to me. So I would suggest it might be later in the year, maybe even early next year. Who knows? But you just work it out based on where you are in the year when it happens. If you've got time to play a full football season but nothing more, maybe you abandon the last one and just get on with the next one. But equally, you might get the go-ahead to play again and there's not even time to do a full season, in which case it makes more sense to finish this one and start the next one a little early maybe. So, yeah, there's no reason to rush into making a decision now, I don't think. Although I suspect they probably will, because people are impatient. Do I think getting Andy back to school will be a challenge? No. I think he'd go back right now if he was able to. He'll definitely be going back as soon as the holidays are finished. Definitely. Half of the chat has just disappeared, which is a bit of a problem because it's gone, like the right-hand side of the chat has disappeared, so I can only see the first half of the questions, which is troublesome. Oh, it's come back. Hang on, it's come back. Panic over. How am I coping staying inside? I mean, realistically, I stay inside most of the time anyway. My day-to-day life is spent in this garage making videos, and then I'll nip to the shops or go to the gym, and then we might go out at the weekend. So I'm missing Adventure Saturdays, and I mean, it would be the Easter holidays right now. So yes, we'd be off doing adventures and stuff, and there'd be some fun activities going on. So there's stuff I'm missing, but by and large, on a day-to-day basis, my life isn't hugely different to what it was before, because I still come out here and I make videos, and half of the chat has disappeared again. What is going on? Why is that happening? Of all the parts of the screen to keep disappearing, the bit that I actually need to be able to see, it's just stupid. Right, it's back again, but I don't know why it keeps disappearing. It's a bug in YouTube. It tends to clear after a few seconds. It's a stupid bug that they need to get rid of. Um, like all bugs, they need to get rid of this one. They should get rid of all of them. Code better, you rascals. You're a big enough company. Britain's Got Talent starts on Saturday. Will Andy be watching? Almost certainly. He loves a bit of Britain's Got Talent. That actually is a thing that might cheer him up a little bit. What's been worse? My own. I'm not going to read that out because I don't want to spoil Non-Need to Legend for anybody who's not seen it yet. Jemmy Lou, thank you very much for the super chat. Hi Kev, love your vids. Something to look forward to. Does Andy have any symptoms? No, he's not showing any symptoms at all. The only thing that makes us question whether or not he might be feeling a little bit under the weather is the fact his anxiety's been even higher and he's had a couple of meltdowns in the last few days. But it's just impossible to know with Andy. We've tried taking his temperature and he wriggles and we can't get an accurate reading, but it doesn't look like he has. He doesn't feel hot to the touch. He's not coughing, so it seems he doesn't have the two main symptoms. He's not leaving a trail of diarrhea over the house, so he's not got the big symptom that me and Anna had either. So the fact that he's not showing any of those three things suggests he probably isn't going to get it or hasn't got it, because you would think after being locked in a house with me and Anna being really ill Anna came home from work on Tuesday last week feeling really rough. So that is 7 days. So if he's not picked it up in that time, obviously we'll continue to isolate him for the full 14 days that he has to isolate for. But touch wood again, it looks like he might have avoided it, which is perfect. Do we still make Andy try a little food every day? We've never made him do it. We always offer it to him, and there's a significant difference. It's an important difference. Food is always available. It's always offered to him. Sometimes he'll take it, sometimes he won't, but we'd never make him do it. Do I still see Amy? Yes, although can't at the moment, because first their house was self-isolating. When Lucy and her mum first got ill, Amy has avoided it, thankfully. And now, of course, we're doing the self-isolation thing. So it's going to be another week before all that is done. And then after that, we'll be back into seeing her regularly again. And it's just because of the way it's overlapped, it'll have basically been a 3-week spell where we weren't able to see her, which is not good. Did I get a high fever? Yes, I did. We didn't actually own a thermometer at the time. We bought one off of Amazon, so by the time the thermometer came, my temperature was back in a normal range, and it has been all the way through. But when was I think it was Thursday night? I think it was Thursday night was the first time I was really, really, really poorly, and I was sat there wearing a t-shirt, a jumper, a hoodie, and a dressing gown with a blanket over me, violently shaking because I was shivering so much. And sweat dripping off me. So yeah, I absolutely had a fever, and I was just drenched in sweat all night, but shivering all night. And it was a little bit like that, but not quite as bad the next night as well. But since then, there's been, if I've got a fan on me at the moment, if the fan wasn't on, I'd probably be sweating. But according to the thermometer, I'm at a normal temperature, so I'm not currently having a fever and haven't recorded a high temperature at all since we've had the thermometer, which was Saturday that arrived. So, yeah, like I say, hopefully, I'm sort of through the worst of it. Hopefully, chat's disappeared again, so we'll just give it a minute. Come on, chat, come back. Come back, chat. I can see half of it again. I didn't realise upset stomach was a symptom. It's not one of the most commonly reported ones, which is why we ignored it initially. It's one of the things that I'm keen to emphasise in the video that we put out in a day or two's time. That if you feel any kind of poorliness at all, you should really go and look up what all the symptoms are. I know the government are trying to put a clear message out to make it as easy to understand for people as possible, and they've picked out the two most common symptoms, and usually you'll have at least one, if not both of those, and I have had both of them at various points throughout all of this. But if you have a look at the actual definitions and symptoms lists, diarrhea is on there, and it just so happened that for both me and Anna, that's where it started, and then developed into the fever and the shortness of breath and the cough. But yeah, I think if it's difficult because people don't. I don't want to get people to panic if they just feel a little bit under the weather. But at the same time, it's so important that we don't go out there and spreading it. And we're effectively under lockdown anyway. So my thoughts are, if you have a poorly tummy for a day or two, is there really any harm in just staying at home for a day or two, just to see if it develops into something else, or if it was just a bit of a poorly tummy? To me, I do kind of think that I don't think I should. I went shopping on Wednesday, and I don't think I should have done. But all I knew at that point was Anna had come home from work and had a poorly tummy, and I'd started to feel a little bit grotty and. Without wanting to go too graphic, anyone who watched both of my streams last Wednesday will know that I started the Twitch stream at 9 o'clock telling you all I'd just been for a poo, between finishing the YouTube one and starting the Twitch one. And it wasn't a nice experience, and I knew that if I didn't go then I wouldn't make it through the Twitch stream. So that was the first sign of like proper symptoms. But I'd been feeling a little bit rough earlier in the day. But I went shopping because no one had said to stay in if you had a poorly tummy. So, yeah, not ideal. So I think it's important to spread that message. Pixie, thank you for the super chat. Not sure if you've answered this, but have you had a chance to play Persona 5 Royal? I'm having a great time. It's keeping me sane. I have. I've played, in fact, get my mask on. I streamed it a little bit when it first came out. Was it Friday? Or last Tuesday? I don't even remember when I think it was last Tuesday actually that came out. I've played probably the first 10 hours or so. It's not very different to the original one yet, is it? I Googled it just to check, and I think most of the difference comes at the end of the original story. I think you get like an extra 20 hours of story at the end, which is fine because it's a fun game to play through again. I've not played as much of it as I thought I would because it's on the PS4, so I can't sit there in the living room playing that game all day when we're all kind of grotty and poorly. So I've been playing a lot more Animal Crossing, but I've got my PS4 sat next to me now, and as I get back more into a normal routine again, I'll definitely get some time on that, I am sure. Right, last mouthful of coffee is going down. So we are moving into the final 3 questions because I can feel my throat starting to go, you're talking more than you have for days, and I just feel tired. I just want to go to bed again now. This is getting close to bedtime for the last few weeks. Last few weeks? There you go. See, I'm starting to talk nonsense. Last few days, last few weeks, obviously not. I thought talking about that was Twitch only after the massive conversation we had about it on Wednesday. I don't even remember. I was a bit delirious on Wednesday. Do I like West Ham? I don't really care one way or the other about West Ham. Would we ever go back to Centre Parks? Yeah, Centre Parks was awesome. Right, let's pick out these final 3 questions. Is MGP back this week? Probably. The only reason it wouldn't be is if Pab gets ill, because he's the editor. So I ain't editing that for love nor money. That's not true. I would do it for money, but there's no money in podcasting, at least not at our level. So yeah, he needs to be there to edit it, but as long as he is, yes, MGP will be back this week. Right, let's do 2 more questions. How's the iPad doing? Andy's iPad, I assume you mean. It's absolutely fine. It was thrown out the bedroom window and survived. Otterbox are great. Not sponsored, but you should buy Otterbox cases if you're rough on your devices. Why did I in the PO box? Because people were sending stuff to it that we didn't want or need, and it was all very wasteful and silly, and also we didn't really feel comfortable taking gifts off people. It got to the point where the stuff we were being sent was either silly and wasteful, or people were spending too much money on us and we felt uncomfortable accepting it. So there was rarely a time when we did the PO box where we just thought, oh, that's nice. It was always either it was guilt. It was one of 2 different types of guilt. Either guilt that there was just something silly and wasteful going on, or guilt that people are spending money on us that they could be spending on themselves. And I didn't feel like we were getting anything out of it. I didn't think anyone else was getting anything out of it. So it costs £300 and something a year to have a PO box, and it got timed for the renewal. And I thought, you know what? I don't need to spend £300+ on this year just to feel guilty. I just won't bother renewing it. So I didn't. And I haven't regretted it for a second. I don't think I don't think we're missing out on anything. I don't think you're missing out on anything. So I'm pretty happy with that decision. Did I enjoy London? Absolutely loved London, yes. But I am going to end the stream here because without wanting to, again, be too graphic and share too much information, I need to pay a visit to the to the smallest room in the house. And I've learned over the last few days it's best not to delay these things. So we will wrap the stream up there. Like I say, touch wood for at the 10th time in this stream. Touch wood, we'll be back tomorrow, and this will be back to being daily from now on. So fingers crossed, I am over the worst of it. Obviously, if things do change, I'll let you know on Twitter. So if you don't already follow me there, make sure you follow me on Twitter to stay fully up to date with when you should expect things, with it, whether it be these streams, Twitch streams, videos on either channel. Twitter is where you find out first what's going on with all that stuff. So thank you to everyone who's joined in this evening. I've really enjoyed being able to do this again. I've missed this so much over the last few days. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to just chat nonsense with you for, what's it been, 45 minutes nearly, which is just fun. So thank you for that. Thank you as well to everyone who got involved with the super chat. That's always massively appreciated. Especially at the moment, it's a big help. So thank you very much for that. And I will see you all soon. Toodle pip, everybody.